Some big Bears news to discuss this morning. I'm Harrison Graham. This is Chicago Bears Now. Rome Odunze is reportedly tracking toward playing tonight, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter. Of course, the Bears play the Texans on Sunday Night Football. Tracking to play was kind of the phrase that Schefter used. Jordan Schultz, fellow NFL insider of Bleacher Report, used the phrase that the Bears are expressing optimism of his chances of playing. So, barring a setback in pregame warmups tonight, it sounds like the rookie wide receiver is going to give it a go tonight. And before you freak out and say, Harrison, it's probably not worth the risk, I initially had that same thought earlier this week, but Rome Odunze said on Friday when he spoke to the media that doctors have assured him if he plays, there's no further risk of injury. And look, in these situations, you're not going to put a top 10 pick out there in week 2 when your season's not on the line if there's considerable risk toward a major injury. Obviously, there's risk anytime you step on the field, but if you were to get hurt, it sounds like it wouldn't be directly related to what he's already dealing with, which is a grade 1 MCL sprain. And to be young, right? I mean, that knee buckled pretty bad when you watch that replay of Velus Jones getting rolled up into him last week. The fact that he even has a chance to play tonight, A, great thing that the Bears dodged major injury. B, these young athletic freaks, man, I mean, they can recover in a very, very quick manner. And look, if he's cleared and ready to go, let's give it a go, man. Let's try and win this game tonight. I've said all week, this isn't a game you have to win. You're 1-0. You had to win last week. I think tonight you kind of just let it rip, and if you win, great. If not, it's not the end of the world. What you don't want is to be uncompetitive in this football game. And Rome Odunze, you would think, helps you be competitive tonight. So quite the development. Hopefully he's able to play. And if he does, that's going to be very interesting to see what the game plan for him is. What about Keenan Allen? Schefter reported along with that Odunze report that he's more of a game-time decision, which again kind of leads one to believe that it sounds like Odunze is really going to play. They're going to warm Keenan up tonight. And if he's active, there could be a pitch count, like he probably won't play, 90% of the snaps or whatever. Maybe it's more like 60 or something like that. It could be a scenario where, based on snaps, Odunze's the number 2 tonight, Keenan's the number 3, and that would be fine. I think you'll see more tight end utilization tonight. We'll get to Colin Johnson in a minute, but he's an option. I would expect Tyler Scott to be active tonight, so it's kind of interesting that as the week has progressed and here on Sunday morning, it's more likely that Odunze is going to play than Allen. Again, I think a lot of that is just youth, right? And you want to be careful with Keenan because, look, I'd almost just rest him, especially if they feel good about Rome, because if you could get this heel thing figured out, even if that means he misses a game or two, it's probably worth it. Like, if he's going to deal with it all season and not practice at all this year, basically, like he did this week, they tried to give him rest. That's not the most ideal. Now, could he do it being a vet? Yeah, he could. If this was a high-leverage game, I don't think there'd be any doubt on his playing status. But if it's one of those where he's like 75, 80% and they have to put him on a pitch count, look, I'm cool either way. I'll trust the decision. But if they feel like Rome's pretty much full throttle, then maybe you just sit Keenan. I think you got enough options at wide receiver where you can get some production elsewhere, get Cole Kmet more involved, which is a thing we discussed throughout the week. So keep an eye on this. They're both going to go through warm-ups. Sounds like Rome's tracking toward playing, Keenan more in that 50-50 realm. Some other Bears notes: put a short out yesterday when this news dropped, but Ryan Bates was placed on IR, meaning it's the Nate Davis show for now at right guard. I would imagine Matt Pryor is the primary backup there, so keep an eye on that tonight and moving forward. Bates will miss at least 4 games, and he was already dealing with the shoulder thing. I think he tweaked his elbow or something in practice because they added that to the designation, and he did not practice on Thursday or Friday, and now he's on IR, so clearly not ideal, but at least he's not one of your high-level starters. Scott Daly, they went ahead and just signed him to the active. They were going to have to do that eventually anyway, the practice squad long snapper, because Patrick Scales is going to be out until late October, it sounds like, and you can only elevate practice squad players up to 3 times. So they were going to have to do this sooner rather than later, so they went ahead and did that. And then Colin Johnson, not signed to the active roster, but he's been designated for one of his 3 practice squad game day elevations. He traveled down to Houston. If Allen is active, we'll see if they make Colin Johnson active. He could still be inactive in this game. Obviously, where does Tyler Scott mix into the fold after being inactive last week? But clearly, they brought Colin Johnson at least just in case with Rome Odunze and Keenan Allen's status for this game. But again, sounds like Rome is tracking, and we'll see when it comes. Seriously, got a cough this morning. To Keenan Allen. All right, coming up, we got a mailbag that I filmed earlier this week, so stick with us. Some mailbag questions for you guys to answer. But be sure to subscribe and join us tonight. Bears Texans watch party live at 6 o'clock Central Time. So hit the sub button, turn on notifications. Kickoff, I think, is at 7:20. So our 20-minute pregame show. We're going to be rocking and rolling, myself and producer Cullen. Hopefully the Bears win. Get those score predictions going in the comment section below. We'll see you tonight. Let's kick off the Chicago Bears mailbag from Jim Belushi. We got fill in the blank, he says. The Bears beat the they blank. Well, I kind of did this on the preview episode this week. I kind of said, okay, if you do these 5 things, you got a chance to pull off the upset. So I'll just refer to those here. I think the number one thing is definitely the case because it's why you won the game in week 1. You're going to have to get takeaways, and you're going to have to play turnover-free. Now, maybe you can get away with 1 turnover, but you got to win the turnover battle, and Stroud's not a guy who throws many picks. Even against this secondary, I would guess at most he throws 1. So, can you find 2 takeaways and have 1 or less offensively? If you do, you got a shot. I think shortening the game if possible. If you're running the ball efficiently, stick with it. Try to knock out a possession or 2 over the course of 60 minutes. On the flip side, do take some deep shots. Anthony Richardson, the Colts, had a few of those. He had 9 completions for over 200 yards last week. So if you could find those opportunities, stretch out the Texans vertically. DJ Moore, Tyler Scott maybe gets a chance there. So I'd be looking for that. Got to slow down Joe Mixon. The Bears, one area they struggled a little bit as is they gave up some chunk runs to Tony Pollard and Ty J. Spears. I think Mixon's a better back than both. He rushed for $160 last week, so got to contain him. And then if you're Shane Waldron, get Caleb Williams on the move. Run some RPO actions, get him on some boots, and embrace his athleticism. Not as like a YOLO runner necessarily. You don't have to Justin Fields this thing, but let him throw on the move. That's when he's most comfortable. So I think if you do those things and do them well, you got a shot. You got a shot to pull off the upset here. Fill in the blank percentage chance of beating Houston. What do you think? 50%? 30%? I'll give it a 28% chance. I think there's a chance. I do think Houston is a clear favorite here, if we're being honest. 28%, a little better than a 1 in 4 chance. Certainly think they could win this game. I think their defense could keep them in it for a while. But can the offense do enough? That's what remains to be seen. DC Viper, do you think the Bears run it more with Rome and Allen being out this week? Well, as we're filming this mailbag on Thursday, we don't know that Allen is out. Technically, we don't know that Rome is out, but I do expect him to be out. We'll see about Keenan Allen. Depending on when you're watching this, maybe we have answers on both. But I think either way, you should try to run the football more. Take some pressure off your rookie quarterback, but also just don't be stubborn and go away from the run game after a couple of bad runs. So I do think, yes, running the football more is going to be a recipe for success against Houston. Saquon Barkley. Did Poles perform a top 5 fleece of all time with the number 1 pick trade? I mean, it's definitely up there. Now, if Caleb flops, it diminishes a little bit, obviously, but you still would have gotten DJ Moore, Darnell Wright, Tyreek Stevenson, indirectly Keenan Allen, indirectly Rome Odunze for Bryce Young. So even if Caleb flops, it's still a pretty big fleecing. But if Caleb hits, like I still think he's gonna, it's one of the biggest mismatch trades in the history of sports. It really, really is. So yeah, I think Poles did a great job there, and I think he's found some pretty good value on a lot of the deals he's made.
All right, more questions to come. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat. But first, if you're looking to go to a Bears game, a concert, a comedy show, or a different sporting event, or anything that requires you to get a ticket online, Game Time is the place to go. We appreciate Game Time for sponsoring today's show. And listen, they got a new feature on Game Time. It's called Game Time Picks, which makes getting to see your favorite teams play much easier. It'll filter out the fluff to show you the best deal on the best seats possible, so you don't have to filter through the thousands of tickets available on certain events. Whether you're getting tickets for a sporting event, concert, comedy show, or anything else, Game Time has you covered with views from the seats, super deals, which are the best bang for your buck, and last-minute tickets for the lowest prices guaranteed. So download the Game Time app today. Use code CHATSPORTS. It's all one word, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase only. That's code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Terms apply. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Link is in the comments and in the description of this video. All right, our next question here is from Oh Dude. Am I the only one who isn't overreacting after week one? Everyone is rusty and the chemistry isn't there yet. Hell, the Bengals lost to the Patriots. Yeah, I don't think I'm in panic mode, but 148 yards regardless of Russ is a very low number. But the good news is, and I've pointed this out, from Caleb's point, I think most of the dropbacks he had, it wasn't a decision-making issue. It was just a missed throw. And you're okay with that because you trust him as an accurate quarterback. That was not a weakness of his coming out of USC. So I expect the accuracy to be better. But yeah, obviously you want it to improve, but you don't want to freak out one way or the other. Let's see how it goes this week. Keep building. King Towers, how do you feel about your 4,000-yard prediction after week one? I mean, obviously not great. Like, you're 140 yards behind the 8 ball. You have to average about 235 a week. So, you know, could he make up 140 yards on average over the course of 16 games? I would, yes, but, you know, he's going to need some 300-yard games in there. So, yeah, definitely behind the 8 ball. But I don't think 1 week in you're just like, well, the 4,000-yard campaign is dead. But you know, would I bet on it now? Probably not, because you didn't even get halfway to what you needed to average per week. Subscribe and join us because we will be live on Sunday at 6 o'clock Central Time, full hour and pregame show, getting you ready for the start of Bears versus Texans. And, of course, we'll have our full watch party as well. If you see this thumbnail, you are in the right place. That is us. We got you covered with full play-by-play reaction throughout the game. Josh Baratich, what are your thoughts on Daryl Taylor? Well, interestingly enough, we'll talk about him in a little bit in our next segment if you're watching live. I love what I've seen. I think you've almost already gotten good value for a sixth-round pick. 2 sacks and a forced fumble helped you beat the Titans in week one. When you trade a sixth-round pick for a player, you're kind of hoping he wins you a game. It kind of helped you do that already, but I think he's going to give you a lot more. I think there's a real chance he is your second most impactful pass rusher this year after Montez Sweat. I really do. Darum, do you think the Bears can contain Dell, Collins, and Diggs? Look, I think it's going to be a great matchup. The Texans' strength is their receivers, and the Bears' strength is their secondary. Jalen Johnson on Nico Collins a lot, I would imagine. You're going to have Tyreek Stevenson on Stephon Diggs a lot, and then Kyler Gordon on Tank Dell. I'd probably give Dell the slight advantage there. He's really quick and shifty, but I think Gordon can hold his own. I think Jalen Johnson advantage over Nico Collins could come down to Tyreek Stevenson versus Stephon Diggs. So should be fun. And if the Bears can dial up some pressure again, I like their chances to at least hold their own there. Can we get a bear down going? Get the bear downs going in the chat as we are trying to get to 2-0. Be loud, be proud, and bear the F down. Let's freaking go. Spam the comment section with a little bear down action. All right, we got time for a couple more. Harpoon Bakery, what did you think of Eberflus's defense coaching last Sunday? Look, second half clearly was a juggernaut, right? You held them to 55 yards, got 3 takeaways, made some halftime adjustments. Got to be better earlier. You got 2 3-and-outs to start the game, so that was good, but the offense failed you and didn't take advantage. Then the Titans put together a couple of nice drives. So it was a mixed bag, but I think overall it was pretty good. Look, at the end of the day, if you hold a team to under 20 points in the NFL, you should win. You should win. So I think job mostly well done in week 1. I'd give it a B+, A- performance from the defense. All right, Secret Agent Man's Burner. What free agent offensive guards can the Bears get to fix the Nate Davis problem? I mean, I don't have a list in front of me, but if there were clear upgrades, I think the Bears would have considered that by now. There aren't high-quality offensive linemen that aren't on rosters. Why? Because the NFL has an offensive line shortage problem. The good ones are all on teams, and they're all on teams that don't want to trade them. So it's hard to find good ones. That's really an area you got to draft well. I would expect the Bears to draft at least one interior guy early next year because center and right guard beyond this year are areas you got to improve. All right, be sure to follow us on social media. It's at HGramNFL on Twitter. Same handle on Instagram, at HGramNFL. If we didn't get your question answered, hit us up over there. It's at HGramNFL.